It was an early one, but I'm here. I'm ready. I'm alive. I got. Do you want? This is the good opening. I've got Jurassic Park in the background. I've got Jurassic Park on here, and then I've got a Jurassic Park t-shirt on.
You a big fan of Jurassic Park? I would never.
I don't really like the films. They're not that good, to be fair. No.
Dale doesn't like because they're really inaccurate dinosaurs.
I'm currently reading.
That's changing. I like that cover. That's a nice cover. Where'd you get that from?
It's the old cover. I don't know. Lauren got it for me for Christmas.
That's
about
nice
halfway through.
I had the blue one, but I lost it.
Oh, it's not really a podcasty topic, but one sentence reaction to the Jurassic World Dominion trailer.
Heathers. I know Lloyd was going to say it at the same time because we messaged each other at the same time,
and we were like feathers. And baby dinosaurs.
Baby dinosaurs. Baby blue.
2 words, but...
And Therizinosaurus. There's a Therizinosaurus. Bro, it's a Therizinosaurus. That was at least 60 words, but...
I'm glad on YouTube. I mean, to be fair, I did see it, and I was like, because I mean, my excitement was more like seeing like the Grant and Sadler back, and I was like, it's like the old ones.
Cool.
But yeah.
Do you want to know a really depressing fact? So I was reading somewhere. I'm not sure how true this is, but I'm pretty sure it was from like a JP fan page. But you know, in Jurassic World Dominion,
the new one.
Yeah, not the new. Sorry, not Dominion. The one before that, Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah.
The Brachiosaurus that dies in the lava is the first one that we actually see in the first film. It was confirmed.
Oh, that scene.
I remember looking at you in the cinema, and your eyes were like welling up, and then you look back and feel there's just tears dropping down, and we were just like,
"Why did they do that?" Was such a horrible scene. I can't watch it. I don't want to watch that film again.
It was not nice.
See, you're not that much younger than me, so you should be still desensitized by the amount of films we will watch, like whether it's Bambi or Land Before Time or anything where there's always that dead tragic scene where like the mother or something dies, and then next minute they're all like, anyway, moving along, singing, happy.
I'm sorry,
did you bring up The Land Before Time?
Bambi was a dead film. Let's just get it out there.
No, I don't care. Land Before. Why?
Why? My point
scarred me.
My point was that you should be used to sad dinosaurs.
That emotionally damaged me. That film.
Oh,
damn.
It's to you, little.
I can't watch The Latin Time. It reminds me of being in the hospital. Because I used to watch it when they used to wheel it around on the TVs.
Yeah.
I used to be able to watch it in the hospital.
I actually watched that when I broke my arm as well.
Oh, we hospital buddies?
Yeah. I was only in there for like a couple of days though.
Oh, I was in there for weeks. Months. I thought the hospital was my home at one point.
Yeah.
So, should we do a podcast about video games?
No, that's still Jurassic Park. Spinosaurus is meant to be confirmed, but it wasn't in the trailer.
No, it wasn't, was it?
I reckon that'll be a surprise thing.
Yeah, they'll do that. They'll do that closer to the date, I think.
But yeah,
we got like 6 months, 5 months.
As long as this ain't the film that Rexy dies, I'll be happy.
You mean like Jurassic Park 3? That abomination of a film.
Do you know what? I still think it's not that bad of a film. I enjoyed it.
It's okay.
It opens with a T-Rex being killed by the Spinosaurus, and it was just like...
Spinosaurus is a good dinosaur. Although it's very grossly inaccurate in the films and the Jurassic Park series. But it's a good dinosaur.
What isn't?
I mean, it's true.
Am I wrong?
I mean, I guess, will they call that a velociraptor, though? Is it a velociraptor, the one with feathers? I'm assuming, but they're not going to call it a velociraptor.
It's still too big to be a velociraptor.
There's another...
it should be a Deinonychus.
Yeah, or a Utahraptor. I think it's Deinonychus, though, isn't it? But there's...
Yeah, they based this. Yeah, I think Spielberg said the
dinosaurs in the city that are chasing them, the raptors, sorry, are different raptors. They're not Jurassic Park raptors that we know, the velociraptors, or actual velociraptors. There's something else. But yeah, video games are a thing, right?
Yes. So obviously, if you're watching this and you want to hear more of that conversation on Jurassic World and Velociraptors, then the unedited version of this conversation is available for $9.99 on CD.
Wow.
CD
On
keys.
CD, CD keys. Wait, this went 8 different places.
We're
Damn.
gonna sell them out the back of our car, like go around venues and be like, do you want to buy our discussion about Jurassic Park?
Would you like to Would you like to buy the original Jurassic World discussion by UnCapt?
I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, that's where we've ended up. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to UnCapt Gaming, the home of unprofessional opinions, which occasionally
About
veer into
Jurassic
video
Park.
games. As ever, I'm Phil, and I'm joined by Lloyd and Dale. Dale, for audio listeners, is waving furiously.
It's not furious. It's more happy. This is furious.
Happily, but furiously in action, happy in emotion. I don't know. Either way. So, before we get into the main topic of the conversation, this week we are going to be talking about game difficulties and all the issues around that, and particularly with the news that's been surrounding Sifu, and then obviously we've got Elden Ring coming out, so there's lots of that conversation going on. But before we get into that, two things. First of all, as I mentioned in the interlude episode, if you have any opinions on any of the stuff we talk about and you want to be featured on the show, then you can metaphorically call in. Just contact us via email, uncapgaming@gmail.com, and if you're feeling brave, record yourself, and we'll play it on the show and respond to your comments, whether that's about what game you're playing or something we've talked about previously. And we'll talk about that. But before we get onto the main subject, though, let's talk about what we've been playing this past 2 weeks. So Dale already has controller in hand, so do you want to go first?
I have not stopped playing Apex. Oh my lord, this season's so good. And I've upped my sensitivity and I'm hitting shots. Like literally, we started recording 5 minutes ago, and I jumped off the game 4 minutes ago. I've not stopped playing. It's just so good, holy hell. Have I played anything else? Oh, I played Submerged Hidden Depths, which I guess my preview will be up by now, right? I'm thinking, yeah, it will be. Yeah,
as you're watching this, there will be. If you're on the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see Dale's first impressions of Submerged Hidden Depths. And if you're not on the YouTube channel, then what the hell are you doing? Get on the YouTube channel. Come and find us.
What's Habbo doing?
You want the video versions of us, so you're full glorious Technicolor.
But yeah, no, I played that, and my intro states that I normally buy games, and my thing around games is how good their combat is and how good their combat feels. So I played Apex for so long because I honestly think it is one of the most satisfying shooters to play right now. I don't think much compares to it. And that's why I still play it, because it's amazing. So me playing a non-combat game is quite rare. Very rare. And this sucked me in. There's some good metaphors in the game. I think I'm coming out the right way. There's nature taking over modern life, and a reset civilization trying to find its way through. So yeah, it's a brother and a sister. There's not they get kicked out of their civilization for a reason, and stuff like that. But it's everything's submerged in water, and there's just little things cropping out, and there's I don't know, it's really cool. It's a really cool really cool concept, and yeah, I enjoy it. Sorry, I said a lot.
I thought this season of Apex was to do with being sabotaged. Is that to do with that then? Because I haven't really played it this.
Oh wait, no, that was Hidden Depths. But no, yeah,
sorry, my head went then.
It's fine. This is season 8 or 9, whatever season Fuse was introduced in. If you watch the Fuse intro thing, there's Mad Maggie, and she's one of the villains. She puts a load of events into the game, and she basically gets just drop kicked into the game, and she's now in it, and she's really good. She counts as one of the most popular characters in the game, so There's that kind of dynamic. It's good. It's really good. Oh, I'm gonna leave the podcast now and go play Apex. I'll catch you all later.
No, you have to stay put and no fidgeting. What about you, Lloyd?
So obviously we haven't played for we haven't done the podcast for, what is it now, a week. So I've played quite a bit. I started playing I played Grapple Dogs from Super Rare Originals and Medallion Games. That was really cool. That kind of was like this like classic platformer, taking you back to the old days of like Mario and Donkey Kong and things like that. And it was just that was loads of fun. Like you just swing around, and it's all about like getting that momentum, keep going quick as you can, and the soundtrack just slaps on another level. It just keeps you going.
The music did sound very much like a bop. The other thing it reminded me of, obviously apart from old school platformers, was I don't know if you've seen like the Game Maker's Toolkit channel. The guy is like trying to develop his own video game using like where the characters got magnets and you use them to like open doors and swing around and stuff. I don't know why it reminded me of that. Just I think that the momentum based platforming.
Yeah. It's kind of like Sonic as well. Like I found.
It reminds. Did you ever play Ukulele?
No.
Oh, that's a good game that I recommend to both of you. But it reminds me of that with the physics because it's like pinball through the entire game, and that's really good.
That's cool. And then so there was that. I played that. And then There's Not Tonight 2, which came out last week. On the Friday, last Friday. That's something I think Phil will enjoy. So the opening tagline in it was "Politics shouldn't be in games." It was like, and then it's like it was like the most politically like satire-filled game I've ever seen.
Just say on that. I mean, there's obviously all sorts of intellectual arguments you can have, but the one thing that I keep coming back to about why you absolutely should have politics in games is Command & Conquer Red Alert 2, I think it was, and that ending with Tim Curry where he goes, "I'm going to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism, space." You couldn't have that without having politics in games. So there you go, checkmate.
Honestly, it's just like so weird, I guess. Is like, so there's like one mission where you basically you have to play as a bouncer in this, and you go on this like road trip across America, and the first one's Europe, I think, like a post-Brexit Europe, and so like you just basically take up these bouncer jobs, and it's just like crazy. Like there's one where you go into like a castle, and you basically can't let any mages in, but you've still got to like check their IDs, and it's just and then they're like flying in over the top of the castle and their balloons and stuff, and you've got to shoot them down whilst also checking their ID, and it's just so much fun, and it's such a simple concept, but it's a lot of fun. And then Silk released a demo as well, which is quite cool. So that was one of my most anticipated games I put out on my channel. That's been quite fun. I haven't played too much of it yet. I'm going to play more of that this week now, and then hopefully have some more words about that, I think. But yeah, 3 really great games I'd recommend to everyone.
Cool, good stuff. Me. Well, on my end, other than my continued humiliation when attempting permadeath on The Last of Us 2, which we'll not talk about for a while because I'm still sore over the last one. That I've been playing Tormented Souls, which is it came out in June or July last year. So it's indie game by P-Cube, who I definitely did not read as Pube the first time the name appeared on the screen. But it's a survival horror game in like the old school style with the fixed camera angles and everything. But it looks gorgeous. It's got a great atmosphere. There's a few things in it which are not the best. Like when the characters talk, there's like they've got the voices and they don't really have the character models do anything. like if they're interacting, so that it feels a bit stilted in parts. And then there's the puzzles. The puzzles was one of the things. So there's a puzzle where you have to find a door knocker, and then you get to this door, and it says you need to know the beating heart of something, which is a really obscure clue to that you have to use a stethoscope to listen to the heartbeat of a statue in the main hall, and then you have to knock the door knocker, in time with that heartbeat, and it requires so much precision that I had to watch a YouTube video of someone else doing it to press at the right moments to get it, because I did it so many times it just did not work. So stuff like that's really frustrating. But then on the other hand, some of the darkness and horror of it, and like the way the combat works, because obviously like a lot of these things, it's one of those where you have to decide whether to conserve ammo and risk taking a hit or whatever, or and there's very limited. It's hard saves only, and there's very limited ones. So there's all that sort of stuff, which is really cool and fun, with moments of frustration. So that's been the main thing I've kind of been pushing through at the moment.
Sounds like the worst game for me.
It
sounds like the worst.
You would absolutely hate it.
Oh.
Anyone who's a fan of like Resident Evil or Silent Hill, I think will love it and appreciate it. Anyone who's like Dale and just is thinks that Animal Crossing gets a bit too dark sometimes. But yeah, the other thing I was thinking of, and I don't know, this is probably a really terrible idea, but the idea popped into my head yesterday because I was thinking about all the games like that I haven't completed. When we talk about whatever episode it was about our backlogs, and the temptation arose. Said, should I make like a spreadsheet with all my games on and which ones I have yet to complete and which ones I've yet to 100%?
No.
That's definitely a dangerous road, I think.
That's a really bad idea. Do not do that. That has given me just anxiety to think about just looking at the games that I've got that I've not finished.
I can absolutely see how it'd grip like that would have a hold on me the second I did it, because I'd be looking and going, well, I should play this game because it become like an obligation. But there's also the temptation that there's enough of me in there that like that's a really good way to do it because it means it's structured. Like, oh, fuck.
I know. On my Xbox, like downloaded games or digitally owned games, like I think it's 380, and I must have completed about 20 of them.
Yeah.
So that's already looking at my Steam library. It's 101, and I'm pretty sure I probably beat about 6 of them.
Yeah, with my I organize my Steam thing. So like, because I get like I play a lot of demos and stuff. Like I just find it easier to kind of like go through. And one of my biggest mistakes was actually having a backlog category, because that just grows, and my completed is like 10, and then my backlog's like 50, and and I'm sat there, and then I made another one which says 100% completed, which is like 1. So it's just like, no, don't do it, Phil.
Yeah, that's part of the thing, because like I think I've got 11 platinum trophies at the moment on a PlayStation, which is the 100%. And then like you watch videos of other people talking about games, or you watch streamers and stuff, and they've got like 50 platinums, or you're thinking I should get more platinums. Yeah, it's a dangerous road.
Well, if it's gonna be, how many did you say you had? Sorry,
11.
I'm pretty sure I've been gaming on Xbox since 360.
Yeah.
Since 360 come out, and I'm pretty sure I've probably 100% achievement wise, maybe about 8 games.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a very different culture on the PlayStation with platinum and stuff.
I think so. I kind of wish we had that platinums and that kind of thing.
We did for a bit.
We had the diamond achievements, didn't we, and stuff.
Yeah, they were like super rare ones, but like it didn't really last much longer, I don't think. Because on the diamonds, it had to be like a certain percentage of people had to complete that for it to be a diamond or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I think it's very different on PlayStation, because they, but like a lot of PlayStation players tend to
wait to just other us there, Lloyd.
Yeah. Come to the dark side, PlayStation players.
Come to the dark side.
Well, I mean, on the subject of PlayStation, obviously that this is kind of where the latest. I say the latest because obviously there's always something like the debates and discussions about difficulty and what it means always pops up every so often. But the latest one is with Sifu, the beat 'em up game, which is obviously quite difficult anyway because I don't know. I always find things like that where you have to remember combos and different buttons and stuff like that. That type of combat compared to aim shoot combat is always so much harder. But it's getting an update. I think it's due in March, and one of the things in there's loads of accessibility function stuff that they're trying to introduce, and then they're also bringing in an easier difficulty and a harder difficulty, and this has obviously caused ructions, as it always does, like, with people kind of going on about how it's ruining the experience. I made the mistake of looking in the cesspool that is Twitter's replies.
Just don't do it. It's just not worth it.
But yeah, people talking about it. I mean, the way to a lot of people sort of go, well, what's the if you're not playing it on easy, what does it affect you? Doesn't matter. But then there are people sort of going, well, I hope if they do it on easy mode, they shouldn't get the platinum trophy for it. If I did it on this, and all this sort of debates going off, which same thing when they revealed the Blue Point's remake of Demon's Souls. They were originally going to have an easy mode, and then they decided against it in the end. So it comes around in circles. It's always back and forth, but that's kind of where we kick off. I mean, I don't think that's the most interesting discussion around difficulty, but it's a place to start as far as that, because it's the one that people are talking about most. Because it brings up like people talking about things like, you know, the intended experience of the game developers and all this sort of stuff. And then
that's a simple thing to counteract. The amount of games that I've played where it's gone, choose your difficulty, and it'll be like hard in brackets. This is the way the game was intended to be played. Close bracket. That's it. That's the argument is gone. It's gone.
But then, if you say you wanted to play that game and you were struggling because of whatever reason, that may be because like difficulty is an accessibility thing, and you're not playing it to how the game is intended. Do you not feel like you are getting the same experience as everyone else if you're intending for it to be played that way? Should the game, because an intended experience could be broken down into many different things. It could be broken down into the combat difficulty. It could be broken down into the story. It could be etc. etc. etc.
I don't think intended is going to break down into the story. I think it's just going to go into difficulty. Personally, I would say, because if difficulty is removing story options, then it's not a difficulty option. It's a which story would you like option. You know?
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
I think what Lloyd's saying is that, like, if obviously it depends on the developer, I suppose, but if their intended experience is like the difficulty is kind of there, so you can choose whatever in terms of combat and challenge and all that sort of stuff. But the experience they want is they want you to go through it and experience the story of it, and then no matter what difficulty you're on, you still experience
you get the same experience. Yeah,
which never always used to be the case, because there were used to be games where if you played on easy, you'd miss out. They wouldn't have the true endings and stuff.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah, no, Lloyd, that makes a good point. Actually, because I'm thinking Halo 3 did it, right? Halo 3 did it on the, because like the whole doing it on Legendary is the whole, you know, you stay up with your mates and you grind out and get it done. But there was like the cutscene where you see Master Chief survive, right?
Yeah, you got the
whole thing. Yeah, no, sorry, I was thinking of it more like just difficulty. But then, like, I don't like stuff like that. Why would you do that? Like,
would it? So, in a way, would it? I don't know, because like I don't think you should punish people for playing it on easier difficulties, because we live in a very, you know, diverse world now where people are are very open about several illnesses or disabilities and stuff. So like, and obviously games, I struggle with a lot of games. There's games where I just, like Cuphead, I just refuse to look at Cuphead, and it sits there in my library being like the pain in my life. And like, I because I know I've got to a point now where I'm really, really struggling, and it's put me off the game. Like, do you know what I mean? And it feels crappy, to be honest, because like I want to play that game, I want to complete it because I love it. It's a good game.
Now on the flip side, being able to beat it because it's super hard is a reward in itself. Like,
Yeah.
Hollow Knight is the pure example of that for me. Hollow Knight was solid. Oh my lord, that did my head in. Like, there was a boss, the Watchers, I think they were, and honestly, that took me days to beat. As soon as I beat that, though, woo, that was a feeling,
But again, it's giving people the option.
Yeah, the option's always important, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of what you can do, in terms of how you can adjust that stuff, it definitely depends on not only the game, but also I think the type of game. Probably because there's probably more adjustments you can make to something that's kind of a third-person realistic kind of game than you can necessarily to like a side-scrolling platformer. That there's going to be different issues there, but I think it's still like we've got past that date, like things were in the past what they'd call like Nintendo hard, when like on the old NES type thing, where games were just like really, really hard to beat just by default, just because they'd been made that way.
Like stem from arcades. That kind of gameplay,
it was hard specifically to get people to put more money in to keep going. Like there was a balance between making it feel like they could go further and making sure they'd die, so they have to put more money in the machines.
I guess that's something we just don't need now.
No,
you don't like. Yeah, like I don't see the reason why you wouldn't put easier modes in your game. I don't. Like I do get the argument of, oh, it's a big achievement to beat this game, but what's difficult for me might be different for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So
I think there's definitely different ways of doing it, because like Celeste, for example, has got the, is it called assist mode or is it called something else, but there's something there where it's still the same basic game, but there's something, I've not used it, so I don't know enough about it, to be honest. But there's something there which helps you to progress a little further, or it's designed to like make it easier for you to kind of get to grips with it. Particularly, you've got like different delayed reaction times and various things like that. And then there's God mode on Hades.
Yeah.
Which again, it
Hades
doesn't change.
is a really good one.
Yeah, because it doesn't change. I mean, you've played it, so you know better than me. But as I understand it, it doesn't change the overall experience. It just means it gives you kind of a leg up each time you die.
Every time you die, I think it gives you like a percentage. It's nothing, but it's just that little. Do you know what I mean? That little. If the game is stupidly hard for you, which it is a difficult game, you'll get to a point where you are a lot stronger, but you're going to get a lot better because your skills are just going to naturally get better as well. So I think it's a really interesting way of doing it, specifically to like a roguelike or roguelite or one of those things. We've discussed it, but I still won't get it. So yeah, Hades is a really good one, and Celeste I've not seen. So
yeah, I think Grapple Dogs was quite a good example, because like what they did with their accessibilities was basically you could turn on infinite jumps or unlimited health at any point during the game, and like so there was certain points, like there was later points in the game that I found easier than previous points, which is going to happen. But like there was bits where it was just intense, sort of like keep jumping, and you've got to hit, your timing has to be like spot on. And there was points where like I struggled, got frustrated, didn't want to play it, but then I was like, oh, I could just do this. Do you know what I mean? Could switch them on, I could get past that bit, and then enjoy the rest of the game. So I think that's another good way of getting around this. Like, obviously not for every single game, but
Yeah, because I mean, the other thing aside from the mechanics in a specific game will be things like budgets, because obviously something like Grapple Dog, which is an indie title, which was made for whatever. Like, I'm assuming it was a quite small team of people making it.
yeah.
Whereas if you talk like,
Solo.
top of the line AAA game with hundreds of millions of dollars thrown in it, like Last of Us Part 2, for example, they got like all the accessibility options, but then they've also got, you can customize individual aspects of the difficulties. So you can have it where the difficulty for the enemies might be harder, but the difficulty in terms of how many resources you find in the world is easier, and all this sort of stuff. Then you've got all the stuff like your cheats, like infinite breath and things like that. You can turn on if you unlock them and stuff like that. But at the same time, they've also got something built in, which is so like if you play on like the grounded difficulty, which I think, as far as an intended experience goes, I think that is the intended experience from what I've played it, because it that seems to be what it was all built around. Then you get onto obviously you can still turn the accessibility stuff off, but once you turn on that, it takes away things like I said, you can't use any cheats, even if you've unlocked them. You can't use any of the stuff, like you can't change the difficulty halfway through. It's stuck. Once you're on it, you're on it. So I think that kind of fits the balance of the both, between we have an intended experience and you can lock yourself into that and do it, but there's still accessibility within it. And then if you don't want to do that, there's more accessibility and more difficulty. There's more. Yeah, you can customize the difficulty in every which way if you wanted.
Yeah.
Some bits really, really hard and some bits really, really easy.
Yeah, I think the wording of everything is really important as well in terms of everything, because like it's like we said before, like you said beating something on a hard difficulty is it's like an achievement and it's something you can kind of brag about or whatever. But it's like, say if someone is struggling with that hard difficulty and they're playing the easy game, and then everyone's like, oh, you played it on easy game, didn't really complete it. It's kind of like, right, okay. Trying to figure what I'm trying to say now, but it like that wording could easily be changed. So you could play like the story mode, for example, or you could play the more combat orientated version and stuff. So rather than being like, oh, I completed it on hard, look how good I am, people could be like, oh, I completed the story, like and so I think wording
that difference
important.
Between, is it like God of War had like the lowest difficulties called Give Me a Story, and then like the old Dooms where the lowest difficulty was called Don't Hurt Me Daddy or something like that.
Like Wolfenstein did the same. And it's kind of like, I think, like, I get that, and it is a bit like tongue in cheek and stuff with like the Wolfenstein stuff, but it's almost a level of like humiliation as well, in a way, if you can't do it. So I think for developers now, they've got to be careful in the way they word these. I think that's so important now.
Was it? I can't remember. There was a game that if you played on easy, you had like, I think like rabbit ears or like a chicken head or something. I can't remember. There was something like that in the game.
Oh wow!
And I really can't remember. It was.
That definitely sounds familiar. I can't think of what it is, but that definitely. But I mean, this kind of comes back to the other side of this, that when like people are talking about, if you can't introduce difficulty because there's an intended experience, and if you put it easy, you ruin it. Like the kind of answer to that is that a lot of these people, is talking about gatekeeping, and a lot of this comes back to like the way we look at like the community of people who play video games now compared to in the 1980s or whatever. It's a lot bigger and a lot more sort of diverse and inclusive. It's doesn't meet certain like stereotypes of a certain type of person locked in their parents' basement at age 30, or just kids who like, so the demographics have completely changed, and there's also that sense of, there's obviously a lot of people who don't like that and want it to be this exclusive thing, because it's like they feel like then this is our thing where I can feel special because this is my exclusive little club, which is obviously where you get a lot of this, like things like we had Gamergate and whatever, like God, that was 6 years ago now.
Time's flying by.
It's too
But-
quick.
Because it's always that's the reactions to these things always center around this perception of it's something from the outside. It's someone doing something different. You're not part of our group. You're not part of our community. We've got this idea of what gaming and a gamer is, and you're coming in and ruining that, and like ruining my perception of myself as this thing, and it also kind of ties into that same sort of mentality.
Yeah. Sorry, I found the game. It was Resident Evil. Sorry, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. If you played on easy, you wore a chicken hat thing. But I'm looking through, and there's a lot of games that do stuff like that. A lot of games, damn.
Yeah.
That's quite recent as well for being Metal Gear Solid 5. It's like, not that that's anything too surprising given just how mad some of those games are. So
Very crazy games.
What else have we got?
Sorry, let me just bring it back up. But to just backtrack a little onto Lloyd's point about like renaming, I think that's probably one of the better ways to do it. Because then it also shows, like, if you're like, for example, like, say we're both playing a shooter game. Say we're both playing. I know we don't, but say we're all playing the Call of Duty game. I'm like, I like shooters, so I'm obviously going to play it on quite a hard difficulty because I like that challenge. But I know, for example, Lloyd, you pay a lot more attention to the story than I would at first. I do quite a lot, but you
probably not
do.
for Call of Duty, but
yeah, but this is just the example that comes to my head. But if you turn around to me, it's like, I beat the story, and I'm like, oh, sick. So did you enjoy the story? I know you're that type of game. You're the type of game that enjoys stories. You enjoy that type of thing. And then I'm like, I played it on Veteran. You're like, oh, so you really enjoy bouncing around corners and popping people straight in the head before they can even see, like, it shows the type of gamer that you like to be as well, other than bringing it from the accessibility thing. It also shows the gamers are different, and we like playing things in different ways. But yeah, some of them, Lloyd, the Wolfenstein one I found, and I forgot about this one, is it's got him dressed up with what's the
dummy.
hat? A dummy and the
baby
hat the babies wear. And it's, can I play daddy?
Yeah.
That was I don't know why you said don't hurt me daddy, but it's can I play?
I love Wolfen. Like, they were good games, but like, yeah, because I think I played it on the third one. I don't remember what the third one was, but like, it was just like, I was sat there and I was like, I don't feel good enough to be playing this game. And it does, but like, it does have that impact on like that instant like mental image of going into a game and playing, and like it kind of
it's shaming.
Yeah, it's shaming
the player for doing it.
And it's kind of playing into this like toxic gatekeeping attitude that happens on Twitter as well, because it's just like I get it is meant in tongue in cheek and things, but people just take it too far. Like, and if you're playing into that, and I think developers have got to realize that as well.
They've got a responsibility, I think. They're the ones who've got to step up and thing it. But another one which I completely forgot about, which I have got this achievement. If you played 50 Cent, Blood in the Sand, amazing game, by the way.
Yeah.
On easy, you'd instantly get an achievement called Not Bulletproof.
I shouldn't laugh, but they're creative. They're creative with them, but yeah, it just shouldn't happen anymore. I think.
No, it shouldn't.
So wait, I'm just sorry. I'm just kind of in shock that game exists.
Ooh.
It's a good game.
Five Nights at Freddy's World, which I'm thinking was the kind of like RPG game.
Yeah, that's quite recent.
It's the weird one.
Yeah,
gives players a chance to take a peek into the world of characters. Oh wait, no, sorry. If you beat it on the normal ending, you get a thing that says you beat an imaginary monster in an imaginary game without taking any risks and without finding anything interesting. That's how it ends. That's bad. That's bad.
That's like, instead of like the thing where you get some at the end, like where developers say like, "Thank you for playing our game. We're so glad you enjoyed." It's just like, fuck you.
It's like, why would you do this?
Yeah.
It's just like the equivalent of just being like, are you a beta? Wow, this is terrible. It's like,
Well,
oh,
yeah.
just let me enjoy my game. God, man. But
But
yeah,
yeah,
oh god.
Oh, go on. I don't know
No,
what to
you
say.
said. I was gonna say, yeah, you're right. I think it's humorous in a sense that you can like laugh at it, but I don't think it
Yeah,
should happen. You shouldn't ridicule people for playing on what they want to play on, you know?
yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, like I don't know. I get it, and it is funny, but like it just because like everything now is just so toxic with social media and stuff. It's just like if they did that on Call of Duty or like Halo, oh god, could you imagine the comments?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Well,
just-
it plays into a culture where people are already inclined to like just be really aggressively
Horrible.
spiteful at people.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
it's like for no real reason. It's not like sort of you've killed my father, prepare to die. It's just like you're playing on easy, prepare to. There's like can't.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
I also think that like the secret ending things should be cut out for difficulties. There should be something you have to do in the game to get a secret ending. I think that should be the better way of doing it. But
I think that the main argument against it is that the game that springs to mind that did that. I think the first game that springs to mind at least was Superman 64, which, as we all know, is like one of the worst games ever made. So it's just.
I'm sorry, have you played Cyberpunk?
New update with that actually. So
Cyberpunk does not make you fly through rings with the using a janky flying system. So
not on purpose.
But has anyone played the Quidditch game in the Harry Potter game?
Oh my lord, what a game! The Harry Potter games are a treasure.
Is that the one with the PS1 Hagrid who was doing the rounds on TikTok?
That was such a nightmare.
Harry! Anyway, sorry, Phil.
To give you a big congratulations.
Can we name the podcast the Difficulty Tangent?
Everyone expects tangents now.
We're going to keep on track.
There'll be one episode eventually called like the episode where we keep on track and stay on topic, and that'll be the one that no one listens to.
Dullest episode. Yeah, it'll be the dullest episode.
You've unlocked a diamond achievement.
You've stayed on topic the entire time. Well, no, we have, but tangentially we've stayed on topic. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, Superman 64. Sorry, Phil.
No, it was just because I'm pretty sure that was one of the ones that like you didn't get the proper ending unless you played it on hard or something like that. You didn't get it if you played on easy at least. And it was like of all the games to like do that's like just a completely ridiculous flex given how bad it is as a game. You really want to play this game on hard? Like, no, I don't really want to play this game.
Cool. Oh, jeez.
But yeah, that's so that's I mean there's a lot of interesting stuff there. Like there, I didn't know about like some of the ways that I knew people did that, but didn't know all those examples. Some of which really do just seem to be like a slap in the face, like, how dare you play our game? Go away. Which is just
how dare
absurd.
you spend money on this and play it in the way that's best for you? You absolute heathen! Like, shut up.
Like we pay money, let us enjoy it how we want to, and then people who moan about us playing the games that we want to, we've got different lives to you. Sorry.
So yeah, I mean, but I think, like I say, that's always the discussion that does the round it. But I think one of the things that I've been thinking about, kind of tied to this, how I'm interested in your thoughts, is like if you've got a game with games with harder modes, or whatever they choose to call them, whether they call it like Nightmare or Inferno or Grounded or Death by 1,000 Flying Knives that like shoot from the bowels of hell into your eyes mode. That's or whatever.
That's Doom.
Doom.
What's for you? What is a good way to do this so that it feels like a challenge, but it's fun? And what's a bad way where it just feels really cheap?
I've got perfect example for a great way to do difficulty. And as soon as I say it, you're gonna watch Lloyd's eyes light up. There's no difficulty mode in it. Everyone plays the game the same way, but it's Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
and the reason I say this is because Mario games, although a lot of adults play it, they are intended for younger kids. They're they've got that audience. But if you look like up in the air, up in the sky, there's all these ways to do difficult trick jumps and get into different areas that you might never have noticed to get all these new things and stuff like that do not affect the main game.
No.
You can still progress with the main game, but if you want to make the game more difficult and get through, like, to, I don't know, moons in this one, isn't it? It's not stars, it's moons. Get all the moons and different ways and stuff like that. You can learn how to do it in weird, crazy, like, I've seen speedrunners do it, and oh my lord, the ways they jump on that hat, I feel sorry for it. But, like, it's an amazing way to do it, because everyone experiences the same game. Unless you want to get up and do all this, then you make the game a lot harder for yourself. Does that make sense? I honestly think it's a really good one, and I'm pretty sure I might have stole Lloyd's point, because I think he told me this a good year or two ago. Yeah. But I had to bring it up because I know you wouldn't have brought it up. It's kind of outside the box, but
and like the other thing is the way it rewarded you, because like you could collect coins and stuff. Like coins were easy enough to get anyway. Like, and I believe they refreshed when you came back. But it's like if you were like speed running, for example, like, which obviously Nintendo games are quite big on, a lot of them, because a lot of them are platformers and stuff. Like your Super Mario's. And they basically gave you in-game like purchase options for your like characters. You could dress them up. You could dress up Mario and stuff.
Mario nipples. That was a thing.
That was a thing. So yeah, it's kind of giving you that reward, but without taking away from that overall experience. And I think that's really good. Whereas, like, you know, like, yeah, okay, Halo was like a lot of fun to play through on Legendary, and lucky enough, I think I completed it with Dale.
You did. Long nights.
But yeah, it was just like that. Like, if I didn't have someone there, or like, you know, for whatever reason I couldn't play with someone else, I missed out on that ending, and I'd have to pop onto YouTube. Yeah,
good old YouTube.
YouTube.
I think
games that's easy since 2005.
I think Odyssey does a good job of not, like you said, punishing players for, you know, not. I suppose playing the easy mode is just playing it through normally, but it's not really. There's no, oh wow, you're doing it the easy way. That's awful. How dare? It's just play the game.
Yeah, I
want to go explore those things. Go do it. If not, you just carry on. Go beat Bowser up at the end.
But I think again that it would be difficult for other games to implement that.
Yeah, it would be. But I'm just using it as a
It is. It's a great example, but I'm just thinking it would be
hard games with hard modes that we've beaten, and what do we think of them? I played quite. Do you know the one that I recently tried doing on hard modes was God of War when I did that playthrough, and that was just.
I was going to bring God of War up, funny enough, because so which difficulty did you play it on? Did you play it on the hardest or the second hardest?
I think it was the second hardest, and it just turns them into bullet sponges. It's just like this ain't fun. This is not fun.
Because I've still not finished it. Like, I got to a certain point in it. Like, I played on again, whatever it was called. Give me. I don't know what the second hardest difficult. The one below, give me God of War. Anyway,
give me it hard. Sorry. But
that, like, the thing that struck me about that was that the only challenge was the combat. So, like, if you were playing that through on the Give Me a Story difficulty, then if the combat's a lot easier by comparison, then there's you just kind of walk through, because like when you're jumping over places, it just press a button, the auto jumps. There's no thing. So there was nothing else except that. So and then all of that, once you got up to a certain difficulty, it was just. And I found this with Resident Evil Village as well, actually. But it was just like it became to the point where it was just like this punishing like wall of death And I think it's just like, why am I grinding through this? This just feels frustrating as hell. And then the same with kind of Resident Evil Village with the Village of Shadows difficulty. If I played that I played that and completed it with all the like where you've upgraded Ethan completely, you've got all the maximum health, your maximum amount of damage reduction when you garden and stuff like that, and the infinite magnum, and it was still like there was still part of that where it was just like, you know, you took one hit and you were instantly on like near danger and stuff like that. So I did try and play it through without any like from fresh save on that difficulty, and that was just, I didn't get past the second enemy. It was just like I physically couldn't because I ran out of bullets before the thing died, and then it was just like I can't get close enough to knife it because even when I've got my guard up, he just, you know, re-hits and I'm dead. So
yeah,
I mean, that might have been made only to be played by people when they're upgraded, but that felt just a bad way to do it. Like, especially by comparison with like the last Resident Evil game before that, Resident Evil 3 remake, where if you play the Inferno difficulty, it's a lot more challenging. The zombies obviously have a lot more HP, and you've got to be a lot better timing with the dodges and stuff to be able to move out the way. But it mixes it up in loads of fun ways. Like until you get to the last boss, which is a pain in the arse. It's like they have the enemies are in different places, the items are in different places. It's all mixed up, so it's not. If you played it through on normal and hardcore, and then you go on to Nightmare or Inferno, you don't necessarily know what to expect because everything's in a slightly different place. And then like they even have literally like zombies fall from the sky and then get up and start attacking you and stuff like that. So you've got to know, you know, there's practice. Whereas that felt fun. Whereas playing Village felt like it was like, no, I can't do this without me infinite magnum. I'm just not going to do this. So that kind of difference is important, and I think as well, if the only challenge in the game is combat, then I'm not sure what benefits.
There's a lot of ways where like, because what they do with combat normally is just they do a bit more damage plus they have a lot more health. That's normally what they do. And there's just a lot of times where you just end up like soft locking yourself. You just can't continue because you can't beat something because it just takes way too much to kill, and it's just like this is just not fun. This isn't fun.
Yeah.
Why? Do you know what I mean? What? It's not a challenge because it's difficult. It's a challenge because you just put a wall in front of me. That's literally what happens, and it's just like, well, you know.
Yeah, and by contrast, and I know I keep coming back to The Last of Us 2, but like when you're playing it through, like so the difference is like in that, like if you're playing through and you come up on someone, you sneak from behind. You could, you know, no matter what difficulty you're on, you can grab them and slit the throat, and they're dead. You get a headshot on someone, they're dead. That's you take someone's knee out, they fall over, and like they bleed, screaming bloody murder, and you can bump on the head or whatever. You can be very violent in that game. It's really good.
But on violence.
But like,
I love a bit of violence
when you're playing on like the grounded difficulty, like if you're trying to sneak, they'll see you with the same sort of reaction time that a real person will see you. Almost like there's not really that sort of the easier difficulty where there's like the HUD thing comes up and it goes, oh, they're almost about to see you. It's like there's none of that. It's just like your head slightly peeking up above the thing, and you're too close. They've saw you, and then they'll be a lot more tactical in terms of like the human enemies. At least, obviously, the infected just scream and flail and run at you. But like the human enemies, like they'll send one of them to try and flank you from behind. They'll do all this stuff, and it then becomes like, can you get away and get back into hiding fast enough? Can you get to another position? So it's the challenge isn't just based on can you shoot them enough times that their HP is gone. It's the challenges in tactics and in thoughts, and so I think that sort of stuff.
That with any Bethesda RPG, I think. Rather than behind the box.
have you honestly tried to play like Skyrim on Legendary?
No.
Like honestly, it's like a chicken has tripled your health. Just nothing dies. Nothing dies. I'm
not a big fan of HP.
No,
it sort of increases with difficulty. Like The Last of Us, thing sounds quite cool.
You know, another game that did it really well, and it's the only game that I'll only ever play on hard. if I ever play it, well, I play it quite a bit actually. It's the only game I'll ever play. Binding of Isaac. Binding of Isaac has this like normal and hard modes. That's what I think they call normal and hard anyway. But the hard mode, all it does is just I think you get less like consumable drops.
Yeah.
I think special items are a lot rarer, and like I think it's just RNG changes. But like the other thing is more champions spawn. So every now and again, like there'll be a better chance of like a harder enemy spawning. But it's not like some of them will have higher health, but some of them might like explode when you kill them, or poison, or do stuff like that. And I can't play Binding of Isaac on normal mode now because I'm used to that. That's the pace I'm used to playing the game. I think it's a really good way of doing it. It's just it challenges you of, okay, well you can kill things, but how are you going to kill things when we're giving you less stuff to do things management. To kill things? Yeah, it does it really well. That's a really good game for it.
Yeah. I think that's the good thing as well. Like if it's sort of you go into a room or an area or whatever it is, and it's like, well, because the difficulty's up, it's not the like this grunt now takes 7,000, 7 nuclear bombs to kill him or whatever. It's actually now there's 7 of these grunts instead of 5, and there's also a chief or whatever it is, so you have to defeat them. That sort of stuff feels like a more intelligent challenge.
Yeah, it's cool. I think Monster Hunter does difficulty really well. When you go up to because in Monster Hunter you have the base kind of normal rank stuff that you do, which is difficult anyway because monsters get progressively harder. But then you go to high rank where they have more health, but granted you do a lot more damage then, so it kind of balances. But then they're like more aggressive. They have different moves,
Yeah.
They'll do different things. Not much different stuff, but if you're used to fighting them on the normal, it will trip you up. Like, they'll do things quicker, and it's just like, I didn't expect that to happen. I think Monster Hunter does it pretty good as well. Because it's not like you're switching on hard mode, you're working through it. It's a progression thing through the game getting difficult. I like that. I like when it's you got to work yourself through it,
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But they're the only games I can think of. They're probably the only games I play, so... There's my thing out the window.
The other one that I've been playing, which I still need to beat because I've got to a certain point and I've been playing other things and got distracted, which is probably where this spreadsheet idea comes in. But yeah, Kena Bridge of Spirits, that's it doesn't there's different difficulty modes and whatever, but even on the normal one, that's a hard game. That just the level of reflexes needed for to make sure when you're in a boss fight that you're dodging at the right times and all this sort of stuff, and making sure that you've powered up and leveled up to the right thing before you take this on. That's just the last time I played it and the last boss that I fought, that just nearly broke me.
I love a good boss though that nearly breaks you, and then when you beat it, you just have that yes, oh my god moment. It feels so good.
That's one of the things. It can be a punish. It's probably belied by how cutesy it looks, but it can be really punishing in terms of a lot of stuff because there's very precise mechanics you have to master, to do things like parries and stuff like that. And it's just
I'm not a fan of parries, unless it's Assassin's Creed's reversals or whatever they were called, because they were easy to do, and they felt so good.
You just block, and then everything around, and then you hit X or whatever it was, and the world around you would just stop,
just die. Everything would die. You just be reversing people into their own swords. It's like Quicksilver scene.
It's easy. It's easier to parry in Demon Souls than it is in Kena. That's from my experience. That's because it's not a normal parry with it. You've got a sword and you parry. You've got to raise your energy shield, and it obviously takes it half second to do because there's an animation. But you've got to start raising it at the right point so that when you hit, you push them back. It's the level of precision needed there is just I've done it by accident. I've never done it on purpose.
For stuff like that, have you ever seen For Honor? The game, it's sword fighting, but it's like you'll have like samurais, barbarians and stuff like that, but it's player versus player, and the amount of skill it takes to read another player, like it's fighting games as well, isn't it? To read another player and block what they're about to do is just, that's baffling to me. Like I can fight gunfights because I've just got to look at you and shoot, but I don't really have to like do much other than that. But when people are like reading like, oh, he's going to jump in the air into a 7-thing combo, but if I hit him on the 8th time here, I'll get the better. I just that blows my mind.
I will never be a master of fighting games. That's why back in old school fighting games, I was definitely in the button basher camp.
Yeah. It's why I hate playing fighting games with Lauren, is because I really try. I try, and then she just sat there going, you just can't get close to her because I don't know what to do. So she always beats me. Grr. Damn. Hard mode sucks.
So, before we move on to the news, have we got any more thoughts on hard difficulties, easy modes, and all things? Any kind of concluding thoughts?
Our other famous catchline is "Don't be a dick." So
don't be a dick.
If just people don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
If people want to enjoy things on another difficulty, that's their right. They're allowed to do that. Let them get on with it. It doesn't affect you. You've completed it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Let them play their game. They spent their money on that. Let them play their game. Do you know who you sound like? You sound like EA when you sound like that. When you belittle people for playing on easy. It's like, oh, you don't have 48 hours a week to put into our game to get Darth Vader? What do you mean? Sorry, I'm bringing up a really old controversy there. Yeah. But I just want to make you all look stupid.
What do you mean you don't have that 48 hours? Pay us money.
What do you mean you can't hit this button a millisecond before they do their thing? You want to enjoy a story? What's a story? Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah. Don't be a dick. Let people play the games they want. And also, if you're a game dev and you're making a hard mode, put some thought into it so it's not just board sponges.
And be nice. Don't humiliate us. Easy mode.
Yeah, don't call me a baby because I want to play an easy.
Any of us who, if there's any gamers out there who do have a shame kink, they can go to other places than the games they play for that.
Wait, what?
Can I play Daddy?
Have I broke down?
We're going to see, mark my words, in the next 5 years, there's going to be a game category or genre just called shame kink. Is that the right one?
Yeah.
I know that's the right way. Because kink shaming is a different thing. But yeah, that's what we're going to get. And it's going to be just Dark Souls and just Doom, but like the very hard versions. And do you know what I mean? That's what it's going to be.
A game that's literally unbeatable, and then whenever you die, it just goes, "Oh, you're pathetic. Oh, you're absolutely pathetic. You were."
Say it again. Say it again.
Worthless. All right, can we?
Oh my lord! We should probably move on from that.
This is going weird quickly. Jeez, that woke me up. Damn.
Okay, so as we move into the news, the first thing on there, quite I think exciting for Lloyd in particular, is the BioShock movie.
I like BioShock 1. That one? Would you kindly?
I didn't say you wouldn't like it. I just said Lloyd in particular might be excited because as a big BioShock fan.
I like stories in video games. I'll have you know. I read one once.
Yeah, Netflix. And 2K Games have come to an agreement to produce the film adaptation of BioShock. Like, they haven't said much more than that. Everything's unknown.
So there's obviously lots of game adaptations all over the place, movies and TV and stuff, and they've been mixed. I think it's fair to say some have been good, some have been not so good. Are you optimistic about this, or you worried about it, or?
I'm excited. I've seen because I've been reading like a lot of things about the power of what's it called, the new Lord of the Rings thing Amazon are doing, and a lot
Power
of
of the
people,
Ring, or the
Oh,
One
the Rings
Ring,
of
or
Power.
a ring.
the Rings of Power, I think it's called, yeah. And
The
a
Power
lot,
Rings.
yeah, a lot of people are like complaining about the costume designs and stuff, and saying it looks cheap and everything else. But I don't think Netflix are going to do that. So I think they're gonna splash the big bucks, and because I couldn't imagine like a Big Daddy and it's just some like guy in a morph suit with a big helmet on, like so I just like
It's a Power Ranger. Just go, Big Daddy.
Is it?
It's a game difficulty.
Oh, what have we done?
But yeah, I'm quite excited. Like, I think I'm optimistic. I think it's got a really cool vibe. Netflix have done a few like horror-esque things, so, and they've all been pretty decent. So yeah, I'm excited.
I mean, the last video game adaptation thing they did was Arcane. I don't know whether they've done any others before, but if Arcane, I know obviously that was with whoever it is who makes League of Legends. I don't know enough about League of Legends.
Riot.
I just know I like. Oh yeah, so they did that with Riot. So obviously they had that input as well. But based on what I've seen of that, and again without knowing anything about League of Legends itself, just from the TV show was really good.
Yeah.
So that's a fairly high benchmark, I think.
Is Arcane animated though?
Yes.
Yeah. Is this going to be live action?
I want it to be live action.
Yeah, the thing that I think, I'll start that sentence again because I don't know where I was going there. But BioShock's got a really deep story. It's got a very deep story. I'm not using that as a pun because it's all underwater. But like, that's got to be so good to put for the big screen. That's got to be so good.
Oh,
and it's not a very long game, is it?
I think it took me like, let me have a look.
I suppose it takes about 6 to 8 hours to complete. I might be completely off there.
Something like that. Yeah, it's taking me 7 hours.
Is it a movie or is it a series?
It hasn't. It's a movie. Yeah, it is a movie.
Okay.
And the other thing is, I'm probably going to butcher this. Verbinski has been attached as the director from The Ring and Pirates of the Caribbean. So that's quite.
From The Ring.
Yeah.
Oh no! If he's no, I ain't watching it. No.
What are you gonna do? Like, there's literally kids in the horror. Like, there's gonna be
what they call
little sisters.
The little sister. No.
Yeah, they got to be there.
I know they have.
Dale's going to be hiding
I'm
his finger.
I'm the person that killed them all.
Yeah,
because they were horrifying.
Yeah, they were. They were terrifying.
I'm not watching. Have you seen the end? I'm not going to do it because I think this is a game that Phil should play. So I'm not going to spoil anything. Phil, you really need to play this. It's absolutely incredible, and it still stands up. I think to this day, it's a little bit dated when you play it, but it is very, very, very good.
Yeah, it's a very good game. But like, I would like to see like a very like Descent-esque sort of thing where they're all like crawling over the wall.
No Descent. No. Please, you're just hitting all my my horror triggers here. Please don't stop.
Like, crazy drug addicts and stuff just running around the place after you and.
There's them. No, I ain't watching it. I'm okay. I'm alright. I played it once. I know what happens.
What if they? But they could derive it from a different thing. This is the thing, because Infinite was very different.
I think.
Two
big determining factors aside from what's already been announced as far as the director will be the length of the film and the budget. That'll probably. I mean, Netflix doesn't really kind of go in and like half-ass these things, because one of the things like with the recent Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City movie, like although I enjoyed it, it was basically massively low budget, and then like Sony just kind of went, you get one movie to do this, like the 2 games in, and like shove them all together, and you get 90 minutes. So like the ending was rushed and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think.
But I
as
think
long as the studio doesn't curtail it, that's going to be a big thing.
I think the thing is as well now with all this. So we got the Lord of the Rings coming out. We've got we're hopefully going to have this. There's a lot of adaptations coming to these services, and I think this is going to be their big competitors. Because obviously Sony have just got Bungie with Destiny, so I can see Destiny becoming a TV series as well with Sony. Yeah,
I think
because it's Sony's interactive, Sony Interactive as well, entertainment.
Yeah.
It's not just games.
The next series, I know they're bringing out Last of Us on HBO, but
yeah,
at the same time, the Uncharted film is currently down on 39% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not doing very well at all.
Do you think video game movies do bad because they missed vital story beats from games because games are so long and movies are quite condensed? Do you think that's one of the reasons that... Because, like, in my eyes, like, one of the best shining examples for a video game movie is Sonic. Sonic is one of the... And the only reason the Sonic is an amazing video game movie is because it doesn't follow any of the game, like, stories. It takes the character. There's similarities, I'd imagine. I haven't played all the Sonic games, but it's its own thing.
But I think this is the thing, though. It's like Assassin's Creed, I think, wasn't great because of how much So, like, there's games where, like Sonic, where there isn't, like, the story isn't... It's kind of there, but it's not, like, the main focus of the game. So, like, they can kind of be creative. And it's like, with BioShock now, they can kind of go off into the universe and do all these little things. Whereas, like, Assassin's Creed, they could have done that, but they kind of just went too far away from what Assassin's Creed was. So, like, they had the new Animus and things, and it just didn't work for that. Whereas I haven't seen Uncharted, but like I was quite skeptical anyway from the casting choice. But like I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was. There's definitely a line to be walked because I think one of the main things, and like from rewatching Resident Evil, but there's definitely other examples. This like there's a line to be. Obviously, if you're adapting something, you want to bring the people who were fans of the original that you're adapting with you. So there's kind of, you need to cater to them in some ways, but there's also, obviously, it can't be a one-to-one, because if it's exactly the same as the game, then why not just play the game? Why bother watching the movie at all?
Yeah.
That's fair.
But if it's too far away, then it's sort of sense of betrayal and all this sort of stuff. Like, you know, what is this? You've ruined our franchise type thing. And then on the other hand, you've also got like moviegoers is a far, far wider demographic than gamers. Like, you know, gamers is millions, moviegoers is billions. Like the amount of people who'll see it. So you've got to cater for people who you know, you should be able to watch it and get what's going on, know who people are, without having ever played the game or read the comic or whatever it is that's being adapted. You should be able to just go in fresh and go, I know what's going on and I know why it's happening because this film is explaining it to me.
Mm.
And, you know,
the best example, I think, is Marvel, because like Marvel is nothing like what the comic stories were. Like you can see the influence, but they're not there. It's not the exact same story. But you can kind of, what they've done is they've chucked in those little bits where you can go, oh, you know, I know where that's going, and that sort of thing. So it's like, it's kind of like, obviously Marvel is a massive thing now, whereas like Uncharted could be like 2 movies, but like it's kind of like, you know, you can kind of put in those things where the original audience of the original media could kind of relate to it, but then it's such a standalone movie anyway. It's just being creative with those little parts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, one of the things I think it was probably someone on TikTok, because that seems to be where I get most of my comic book takes these days. But someone like saying basically the main reason that Marvel have got away with it and doing that sort of difference is because when they started out, like Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, were all B-list characters.
yeah.
So they could get away with doing whatever they wanted with the story. They didn't have to like adhere to something and have this like huge fan base. Whereas if DC does that to Superman or Batman, and even if Marvel does that to Spider-Man, now there's a lot bigger, like, a lot more people know them to go, hold on,
Yeah,
that's
seen
wrong.
Spider-Man.
Yeah,
you've seen it with Spider-Man. A lot of people complaining.
Yeah, no, I agree with that point. Like, people would kick off if you mess with Spider-Man a bit too much, wouldn't they?
Yeah, well, they
You
have.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's
But-
you get that to a degree with games, like because even though, like you say, most moviegoers aren't gamers because of the size of the demographic. It's a vocal enough, like Uncharted or Bioshock. They're not like B-list games that no one's ever heard of. They're big games that lots of people have played, and people care about it a lot more now than like when the Street Fighter movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme came out. Street Fighter doesn't really have a plot as such, so no one really cared, and it was a cheesy, trashy movie anyway. In every possible sense. And then you had like the Mario Brothers movie with Bob Hoskins, which I still contend was a fantastic movie, which I know is controversial, but but it was nothing like the games. It was nothing at all like anything. Like as much as people hate Chris Caston, that's definitely going to be closer to the games than the old one. But I'm probably going to prefer the old
guy
one.
like hopping up amongst platforms and then twisting down a green pipe.
I want to go back to your Marvel point about like where comic book fans would be like, oh, I see where this is going. I was trying to link it to video games. So I was like thinking the only thing that I can think of is if you had a Call of Duty film and one of the characters suddenly had like a fan blowing over his mic and you knew, oh, they're going to insult their dad or something. Oh, this is going to, I slept with your mum talk. I know where this is going.
Well, the Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evil franchise, which was basically Mila Jovovich, the superhero, but with Resident Evil as like kind of a backdrop. Don't like those films, but like this was, and they probably did the same with Monster Hunter because same director and actor.
I don't want to watch it.
But like, Sky for me.
There's a scene, for example, in Resident Evil 5, which is at the culmination of like this big long rivalry between Chris Redfield and Wesker, who's like the main villain of the series, like since Resident Evil 1 when he betrayed them.
I played this bit. Sorry, I haven't played many Residents.
He takes the sunglasses off and he throws them, and like in the film they recreate that blow for blow the scene. The difference is like the Chris Redfield in that movie has never met Wesker. Like, there's no antagonism, and he's never even been to Raccoon City. He's never been part of that original stuff. And also, like in the games, he's like this big buff dude with like huge bulging muscles, and he's got that strong because Wesker's like superhuman. So he's like tried to bulk up to try and like fight him. So he tackles him, and Wesker hardly moves, even though Wesker's like quite skinny by comparison. And it's just like, no, I'm a bioweapon, I don't care. And like he sort of laughs it off. Whereas when Wentworth Miller tries to like tackle this other guy, and Wentworth Miller's quite skinny and he's in a boiler suit, he doesn't look anything like muscle man Chris Redfield. He's like weedy, like basement rat Chris Redfield or whatever. That sort of thing of like moments of, oh, this he wasn't able to move him. Oh, this is gonna get big. It's like, well, of course he wasn't able to move him. Look at the size of him. Just so it's like this weird little fan service thrown in, but it does nothing. There's no real connection to those stories, and I think that sort of thing, which I know I proper went off on a big like sort of, I really like Resident Evil, I have feelings, but that I think that's the sort of weird line between like what you were saying, Dale, about it being different, is like it has to. I think there's a difference between imitating and like saying, look, this looks like this because it's the same shots, and capturing the spirit, because I think Sonic did that perfectly. It was like,
Sonic was felt so like good. Sonic. Yeah, Sonic was just Sonic was just. I think I smiled through the entirety of Sonic because it just made me happy. I was like, this is just so good, and you could just feel like it's just introducing kids. Sorry, I'm just gonna fan about Sonic for 5, but it's just introducing kids to such a cool character again, and like they're gonna come in at that point, and it doesn't matter that they haven't played the old games. They're just gonna be like, yeah, Sonic, and you're just like, yeah, come on. I love it.
And if you have played the like with the trailer for the new one, like that moment where Knuckles like knocks him down and stuff, that's like exactly from Sonic 3, where he like knocks, like at the very start of the game, he jumps up and knocks and steals the Chaos Emeralds. But at the same time, it's not the same as the blow for blow Resident Evil one, because you know it's earned, you know it's
Yeah.
it's like got that spirit behind, and that's the difference. I think is like, is it it's an adaptation, so it's telling a different story, or it's telling a different story, which is it's about the same thing ultimately. And I think that's the difference. Which I know we've gone on like quite a long.
I was going to say, it's almost like we have video game movie opinions, and
we've
this has
basically
opened
made
the
a whole sort of mini episode on video game adaptations.
Before we move on, though, can we just say Knuckles fucks in this new movie? Knuckles, he fucks. He does. Like, that's all I'm going to say.
I can't wait to see this, and I also can't wait to see what this TV series and Sonic 3, and I want it all now. Give me.
Gimme.
But we should move on to other news, I think.
We should.
Is
this my one? This brings it right the way down. I know this is going to annoy Phil.
I was going to before we get to that, I was going to sort of keep it in the same theme. Like there was also the Sonic 3 film and the Knuckles spin, which I just mentioned. Then that's another one. Do we have anything more to say about that, or are we done fanboying?
Sonic all the way.
Excited.
Where's Shadow?
He'll be
Shadow? I'm sorry, but Shadow, I don't care. People will be like, "Oh, if you like Shadow, you're just an edgelord." Shadow is the best character in that entire franchise.
He'll be here.
He is. Phil.
Yeah, but he does not appear until was that the Sega Saturn or the Sega Dreamcast era? We're still the films are still in the Sega Mega Drive era, which is the best era. I'm sorry.
Just hint at just hint at Shadow. That's what Marvel did with Thanos. They hinted at him. Just give me a bit of Shadow.
They've got to have Chaos from Sonic Adventure first.
Oh, no one cares about Chaos. Just bring Shadow in. Damn. Sorry, Chaos fans. I'm only joking. I just like Shadow. All right.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there, but not yet.
Right. Let's bring the podcast down to a more grounded and serious.
Right.
Thing
now back onto so how do we want to introduce? So from really lovable TV and movie adaptations of beloved characters
to
to
NFTs being
a multi-million-dollar grift by scamsters. NFTs, Dale.
No, the thing that got me was Habbo Hotel. If probably anyone that was around, like yeah,
is that still going?
But this is what's my thought. I just keep seeing the ad for like Habbo NFTs.
Man,
and I was like, wow,
it makes so much
Habbo's
sense.
still going. But do a deep dive on Habbo. There is so much to that game. Like there are scams. There are like almost organized crime level scams in Habbo. Just dive into the YouTube rabbit hole. That's all I'll say. But it's just proving that NFTs are profitable.
I have no familiarity whatsoever with Habbo.
This was childhood, mate. You'd go in, you'd make your own room. You had your own... Oh my days!
Oh, it was.
And you pay real money. These were like microtransactions before microtransactions.
I'm pretty sure.
Can I just pick up on something?
Was on Habbo.
Yeah, I was going to say, can I just pick up on something though? Like when Lloyd said this was childhood, I was like, I'm old enough that like the idea of childhood and playing things online are two different eras. So,
right, Phil, we get it. You have Transformer cartridges.
You were cooler than us, right? We get it.
All right.
God.
We had to make virtual girlfriends. Jeez.
God.
You've never been scammed for gold-trimmed room armor, and it shows.
The best bit about it was people used to offer you jobs. Like virtual jobs. And it would always be like you were a bouncer or something stupid. You used to sit there for hours just going, yeah, you can come in. Yeah,
watching the kids whose parents would spend money on the game enjoy the actual game, and you'd be working to afford a sofa.
We were grafting before we had to graft.
But I'm sorry, it just shows the like older things are just jump. Like I think it's interesting with the whole like Atari. Was it Atari that did NFTs too? It just shows that everyone's jumping on this. But Atari went a step further, and their NFTs were in loot boxes. So it's you could just see EA going, Oh my god, I want in. I want in.
The halo is growing.
See, everything you just said though about like going on this thing, like having to like grind and do jobs and
it
stuff
makes
like
sense.
that. It kind of the two things that sprung to mind were one, the expose on Roblox and child labor, and two, Ready Player One, and like basically the people live in this virtual metaverse where they're like in indentured servitude because they can't afford it.
That's literally what it was like.
It really was. But how about avatars? I'm pretty sure something to do with in-game, so I suppose there's that. And I suppose if there's an ecosphere there, people will buy these, because essentially, like, it'll just turn into like CS:GO skins, except less. Well, CS:GO skins can be quite scammy in the way that they think, but not from Valve themselves. Valve didn't thing in there. But I don't know, it's like, I think the idea of having like a skin that's worth money and stuff is pretty cool, but obviously NFTs are not good in the way that they do it. It's not.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the big question is what, because like people have been collecting things forever, haven't they? Like, so like people will pay money to like say, you want like a statue or a certain toy or whatever it is on your wall or on your shelves and stuff like that. But I think that's the thing is like, the way people who bought the like toys and kept them in the original packaging, or the comics and kept them in the original packaging, and like there was always two different types. There was the ones who did that. I can see Lloyd's eyes going wide because, but if you're doing that for a collection, that's obviously one thing. Like it's like that difference between like sort of this. There was I can't remember who it was. There was a comedian many youngsters ago, like he was talking about like all these people who were talking about getting on the property ladder and like you need to get a house because a house is an investment and you can sell it on in the future and all this. And he just sort of was going, well, what if you want to get a house and just live in it? I think it's that if you're paying ridiculous amounts of money for something in the hope that someone else will pay more ridiculous amounts of money for it, then that's far less. That just strikes me as really dumb because someone has to be the last jump in the chain on that sort of stuff. Whereas if you're buying something because like that's cool, I want to collect it, then that's cool because obviously
you've earned your money.
You've got something that's fun to do and like you enjoy it, and again let people enjoy the hobbies.
And I have a button that on stream plays a sound that says Dale Tangent Alert, and then I can go on a tangent, and I have like 3 presses of the button per podcast. I think that's a good idea. But I got something.
What you're saying is you want to reduce the number of tangents we go on by like 300%.
Yes, but I got something that'll hurt Lloyd. That my dad has got hundreds of 2000 AD comics. Judge Dredd used to love as a kid. Okay. I love them. They're in really good condition as well because he used to read them and then just put them away. So they're not like mint, but they're in good condition. Yeah. But they've all got the name Alan written on them.
Oh,
because the shop my dad used to go to used to write his name on there.
Yeah.
So he knew it was for him. But yeah, no, sorry.
Was that like on the inside of it or on the back cover, or was it like
on the
giant?
It's on the front in the corner. They all used to do it in the front in the corner. I used to have that as a kid, yeah.
So yeah, no, I just thought that'd be funny to wind Lloyd up and hurt him a little.
It doesn't wind me up because I get it. There was a
time. Okay, well, I'm sorry. I wanted a reaction. You didn't give it to me, okay?
See, I wish I'd kept all my Sonic the Hedgehog comics from like Sonic the Comic was just I'd have like hundreds of them now. It'd just be like glorious to put them on a shelf somewhere.
Yeah, I was flicking through my the comics that I collected, and I've got a first appearance of Silk, and it's worth like because I think they're like doing a TV series with her or a movie, and that's worth about like £100, and it's probably going to shoot up now. Paid like £4.
I wish I had my Beano comics. Beano is amazing.
All the annuals and stuff as well.
Yeah. Okay, this tangent is taking this off on a completely different tangent.
Games.
Video games.
So back from collectibles to games. Okay, so next on the list of news is that I don't know how much you two have seen about this, but the new horror game that's coming out on the 24th called Martha is Dead. I won't make the Bruce Wayne joke because everyone's made it. It's being modified.
Literally where my head went.
Where is she?
Why did you say that name? See, I said I wasn't going to make the joke, and then I did because the bad influence on me. But yeah, so the way it's being reported is it's being censored. I think, I mean, it sounds like it is, but the exact wording of it is that they said in the statement, "It's with regret that we have had to modify the experience on the PS5 and PS4 versions, with some elements no longer playable." So for anyone who doesn't know, on this game, there's the whole game is basically about this woman whose sister goes missing, and then she's like killed, and then to try and unravel the mystery, she ends up assuming her sister's identity. But there's a scene that people have seen in the demo, which is what is suspected to be, although not confirmed, I don't think, but it's suspected to be the main source of this, is where she peels her sister's face off and wears it as a mask and like looks through it. Immediately after wakes up as it's a dream. But I think from my reading of this, in the demos, this part was playable. Like you had to like press buttons in order to do the peeling, whereas it sounds like that it'll become like reduced to a cutscene, which is still obviously changing something that the game devs have had a certain vision about. But it's, if that's what it is, then it's slightly different than just cutting it out and censoring it altogether.
That's just why.
It's
disturbing.
It was a horror. Like I get like, like horrors are always like close to the edge.
Well,
it's happened
that's
before,
Doki Doki level.
It's like it's quite a common thing in like a lot of horror films.
Well, where they censor out things where it's a bit too much.
Well,
I think we've lost Lloyd.
Hello.
Yeah,
there he is. Hi.
I'm back. Hello.
You was frozen. Welcome back.
Yeah. So like, because I think there's like a movie or something where someone peels the face off someone and wears it. I don't know. Like
the only thing that's going through my head now is The Office, where Dwight cuts the face off the what they call it, where you practice CPR doll, and he puts it on, he goes and makes the Hannibal. Is the Hannibal Lecter thing?
Nice Chianti.
Damn.
I don't know. It's pretty disturbing, but it's a horror. And do we stop that creativity and?
Yeah, I think this is the thing. Is
I don't know.
Violence is nothing new in games. Obviously, there's loads of it. I mean, there's different types of violence. Obviously, there's a difference between like sort of.
I don't condone violence in games. Just I need to get that joke out there. Sorry.
It's ready to be made.
I just wanted to say it again.
Yeah, well, from after you saying that, it's going to sound like I do condone violence in games and what I'm about to say, but anyway, so there's a difference between like cartoony violence, like your Mortal Kombat type stuff, where it's obviously highly stylized, ultra fake, like it's not something you could do in real life type thing, and something which is more realistic. But even with the realistic stuff, there's loads of games that do that, where if you like shoot someone in combat, it's going to realistically reflect what's happened to them and stuff. So I don't think I necessarily have a problem with that. I think the only time I'd have a problem is where it's glorified, or where it's sort of, particularly if it was like sort of, saying like basically this is good, go okay. Do it.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is the case. But obviously there is a slightly like if you're immersed in the story, there is a slightly different experience between watching
and playing.
Even the first person, it's between watching it and playing it. So that's gonna like potentially affect the whole. Like if you play that on Xbox and you play it on PS5, that's gonna be two completely different experiences just from that quite small change, isn't it?
Why have they only changed it on the PlayStation?
Because it's Sony.
Yeah, I think it's Sony's. Yeah, it's not the general games rating board. It's
Okay.
some sort of body within Sony who's decided.
Yeah. Because like there's definitely a difference between like playing it, and I think if it's like, say you've got to hold, like I'm thinking about it now, and like holding down a button and you like see it and you're making, and it's like it's almost like you're thinking that you're making that happen. So yeah, I kind of understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously meant to make you uncomfortable. Like that's the intent. It's not meant. Like if they were doing it and saying like peel it off, isn't it great? Look, you're peeling his face off. All that.
You're doing stats popping up like the cooking mama. You're doing great. Just the stars pop up with that. Oh damn, that's a different game. But there's lots of uncomfortable things in games that the game makes you do. Like one of like GTA. What's the new GTA 5 is the like thing one where you like torture someone, don't you, with a car battery and stuff, and it makes you do it and that. And this
good old Trevor.
I don't think we can say that character's good in any sense of the word.
No.
It's a holy hell. But I mean, there's uncomfortable things the games make you do, and if you don't want to do it, don't play that game, I suppose. But then it goes into the difficulty argument again. I'm joking, it doesn't. But
but I think I mean, the kind of like, I suppose, wrap this up so we can move on to the next one next. But there's that, I think, again, there is, when looking at whether it's a good or a bad thing, not to say that it should be censored. I don't necessarily think that in any cases, except if it's like, I don't know, like, I'm not going to defend the free creative expression of those people who make like the Nazi games where you kill minorities or any of that, because obviously that's beyond the pale. But in like sort of more general mainstream gameplay, if it's trying to make a message and make you uncomfortable, then there'll be different intent behind it, and you can analyze that and you can critique it and you can say this is good or this is bad, or the meaning behind this is problematic, or the meaning behind this is actually like it teaches you a like valuable lesson or whatever. I don't know. But I think those experiences are different. But I think whatever the intent is behind that is going to get lost by not having to play it. I think so.
I
think it's a odd one. I don't think
it's a very odd thing.
I don't think there is a right. Like, I don't agree with like censored art to an extent. Like, I don't. To be honest, like, it's just
like that's far. Like that's very far. That's like, if I saw it, there was a game coming in, and I was like, I'd be like, whoa.
But it's like Phil said, there's a difference about them glorifying it and making you feel uncomfortable.
I mean, I just want a star rating to see how well you did it next to the thing. Is that so bad?
Yeah.
But you got 3 stars out of 5. The edging was a bit bad.
We throw some salt in there as well.
Oh no! You only use salt and pepper.
But I think that's the other thing as well. It's like all art. I'll let Darren cover first.
The Great British Face Off.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Oh god.
But yeah, I think this is the thing. Is like you can critique something and like talk about it in that like a critical way without having to censor it. Come on, lads, keep a straight face. You can do it.
He's laughing.
Do you know what? I'm sorry. Just to think, I've known Lloyd 15 years. 15, 16. That might be one of the funniest things you've said. Like sorry, that was good. Top 10 Lloyd moments. Oh, that was great.
Are we all right now? I feel like I've been like sort of.
Don't take that out of context.
Please don't take that out of context ever.
Yeah, I was going to say I feel like I've just at this point sort of been either sort of halfway between being the straight man of the group and being the parents. It's just like, come on, back on track.
Come on, lads. Come on. This this podcast needs to be called difficult. Tangents are difficult.
So
right. Composure.
Any more thoughts on this, or are we ready to move on?
Move on, quick, Phil, go.
Okay, last
Before I
item
reveal the
in
dark side. Sorry, go on.
Oh,
oh my god,
you're a bad influence today.
right. So the last thing that is, well, I picked it up from an opinion. It's an opinion thing on Video Game Chronicle, but it kind of speaks to something which is quite relevant. So there's a YouTube channel called Gilver Sun has just been removed on the basis of they uploaded video game soundtracks and like they had
Nintendo ones, right?
3,500 copyright blocks from Nintendo in a week.
Yeah.
So they basically said it's not worth trying to keep the channel up and remove it. But then obviously that's raised the question of like, unlike a lot of other like games, like you go anyway, you can find like soundtracks for games from PlayStation, Xbox, and they are covered by copyrights, and they could take that same action, but they don't really because they recognize the value of like the promotion around it and how it helps. Whereas there's nothing really if you enjoy the music of a Nintendo game, there's nowhere official for you to get stuff, and it's saying that there's like a quite booming bootleg industry around it as well.
Yeah, on the Switch, didn't they expect you to walk around with the Switch in your pocket to listen to Nintendo music at one point? Well, not a thing. I'm pretty sure that was a thing.
I think that was a bit of a joke.
No, I'm pretty sure they had like a music player. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm hitting delirious stages at this point.
Even as someone who at one point used to walk around with a CD Walkman in me school pants, so it like bulged out to listen to music. Having a Nintendo Switch seems like, as your music player, seems impractical.
Yeah, no, I think they just need to kind of get with the times. You can't even get the music on like Spotify and stuff. And
no, I think if they were going to be so stringent with it, like just give people options to listen to it then, because people want to listen to it.
Yeah, didn't they like set up a website for you to go to listen to their music? It's like no one's going to do that. People want to listen to it where they get the rest of their music.
Yeah.
Stop being idiots about it. Just don't be a dick.
Yeah, I mean it's that whole thing of like Nintendo as a whole, like everything to do with their IPs is just like really aggressively protected in a way that like other like for example Capcom will encourage people to like make content around the like games like Resident Evil and stuff like that, whereas the risk of doing a lot of stuff like that for Nintendo stuff, even like modern and stuff like that, the attitude of some developers to the modern community compared to like, I mean, I know it was controversial, but the last one Nintendo went for and took down was that was it? No, that wasn't Nintendo. That was someone, but the Pokemon shooting game.
Yeah. They're aggressive, and like I even saw in some of the, I'm not sure if it was Pokemon Diamond and Pearl or Pokemon Legends Arceus. Some YouTubers like muted the music at the beginning of one of the two, and they were like, "Oh, we have to mute, copyright stuff." And it's like, surely, like that's not an issue. Come on, like they're making a living, yes, off playing their games for your fans, but people are gonna buy that game because of them.
Yeah, so there's a whole like ecosystem around that, like between games, YouTubers, streamers, and people who are fans of these things and buy the games as a result.
Yeah, I think it's a weird thing because there's no like agreement with that. Whereas, like, obviously,
I just remembered your joke. I'm sorry.
Oh, I first said something else then. But I did like a lot of so obviously I did a lot of like music stuff as well. So like I completely get where they're coming from on that side, where like their music, I agree, like artists should be paid for their music and stuff if you're using it to help create your own content. But like the way they're kind of going about it is quite weird. Like then like you said, they're not giving people those options. And there's like people love video game music, especially like the older ones as well. Like, you be, I think, but Ubisoft released like vinyls and stuff of their music, and like I know a load of indie
a couple of
indie
people are doing it
devs.
now. Yeah.
Because I know the guys who did Messenger, like I really wanted the vinyl for that, for example, because that music was sick. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just like they're being overzealous, but then also like not giving thing, and then you feed into piracy, and it's just like, if you're so against piracy, like why not
Make them
people
obsolete.
Yeah, in a way. Do you know what I mean? It's such a weird attitude I think Nintendo have got on this.
Yeah. It's like the thing that reduced piracy with films wasn't any kind of crackdown. It was Netflix, the advent of streaming service, like the increased accessibility of content. And I think that's always going to be the thing, is if people really want something and they can't get it any other way, they're gonna do the bootleg things.
Yeah, especially when you pay it, if you're going to charge over the odds for it and stuff. It's just just make it accessible, and then Nintendo wouldn't have this problem. Because like, what's his stat? Like, what's his stats? You think, 1.5 billion views and 473,000 subscribers. How would Nintendo not? That's just one channel that does it. Like, how would Nintendo not going, oh, we could do something with this? Like,
yeah, because even if they just did like that sort of level of views, obviously it's small potatoes to them. But if they had do it on their own channel, that's ad revenue, isn't it, from YouTube? So
yeah,
that's loads of people subscribed for when you put out a video announcing a new game. They see it in their sub bar. It's just easy advertisement. It's just I don't know. I don't understand big money businessmen with their decisions.
But it's like, even if they set up like a separate Nintendo YouTube channel, you could just be like, for music specifically, they could be like, oh, here's the video, like, oh, we're releasing this because this game's coming out. You can pre-order it, and you can also check out the trailer, or like you could pre-order here or whatever. Do you know what I mean, for the full game? And it's just like, there's just so many ways about it, and just I don't know.
Yeah, same with the music industry as a whole. It's like, no matter how many times like they rallied against Napster, it was Spotify which killed it, and iTunes, not them like passing laws or whatever.
Now Spotify's its own problem, but that's a topic for another day, I think.
And if you're listening to this on Spotify, then obviously that's a meta reference, because we're part of the problem. I jest, obviously. So yeah, that's everything we've got in the news this week. Any additional final thoughts from yourselves, Lloyd, Dale?
No, apologies for the tangents today, but we hope you enjoyed.
And the laughing fits of the disgusting jokes.
That was a bad joke. Slap yourself on the wrist or the back of the hands. Naughty boy. Wait, no, we're going to shame stuff now. Stop.
No.
Stop.
Sorry. Let's pull it back. You can't say anything without it being like, that's what she said being the response.
Just let me play Daddy.
Oh my damn! What was that? That's getting sound clip. That's going to be my text alert.
So, on that rather saucy note, thank you to everyone who has watched and listened to the episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will be back next week as ever, and continuing with the madness and the shenanigans. In the meantime, if you're not already, follow us on YouTube, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on all the socials, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at UnCapt Gaming, and uncaptgaming@gmail.com if you have any opinions you want to phone in for us to be heard on the show. And with all that, we will see you next time.
Bye.
Have a beautiful time.